Hello, Horn Guns, and I'm Joshua, and welcome to Vamp the Masquerade Coteries of New York. I had to literally take a breath to say that, because it's a long title. And yes, this is technically a Vampire the Masquerade game, but unlike the other one, which is more like a typical action game, this one's a visual novel. And I did say I've been meaning to play more visual novels, mostly for voice acting reasons, but I don't think I'd voice act with something like this. When I think of like visual novels with voice acting, I think of like anime stuff. So, shout out to Hiba because Hiba got me this game, even though I didn't ask. But you know, I can't complain. Ah, I get to choose Bruja here. Let's read. There's no personality quiz though. That's something I enjoyed in Bloodlines. Bruja, the rebel against power and rage against authority. A seemingly significant man with significant ideas will join their ranks tonight. Ventru. I don't know what Ventrus do. The aristocratic blue bloods embody wealth, serenity, and control. A top-level corporate executive will join their ranks tonight. Toriudo. Oh! This is the one Spiral was going crazy over. The divas seek thrills of art, romance, and cruelty amongst stagnant undead. A tormented artist will join the ranks tonight. I forgot what Ventrus do. I need to read up because lately I've been reading up on Vampire the Masquerade. And like Bloodlines said, I'll play Bloodlines probably next week. Each clan has their own abilities. I low-key want to go with Bruja because I was Bruja in Bloodlines. I heard in the standalone sequel, Shadows of New York, the other one that Hiva got me, you only get to choose one clan. I'll go with Bruja. Represent my Bloodlines character. Jaws. Bruh. Oh, I'm not allowed to use space. Let's just put Jaws. Except. New York taught me to believe in fate. Had you asked me about fate back when I was a human, I would have told you it's just superstitious bullshit. That we are all designers of our own destiny. That belief shattered when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not a face you could have seen in the papers, of course, sank her teeth into your neck. I wonder what these buttons do. It happened in the very same place you're standing in right now, by the way. Fate? You decide. Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see its glow again. I was... what's that word? Habit. Condescend myself. I was hot shit. I had it all. Money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, a career, and a spark in my eye. The one you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought that wouldn't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within and gave me a subtle, endearing gleam in its place. She decided that would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred, just like you, an apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. If my sire was 9th, that would mean I'm 10th. And if you played the tabletop game, I think 10th is the highest you could start with. It was such an eyesore when you look at some loudmouth braggart and see them for all they really are. The temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate, a message saying you're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It drove me to destroy myself. Oh no, I think the person talking to me is 10th generation. They're like such as you. We'll keep reading. What saved was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom, it was a message of hope. Fate exists, and one can shape it if given the right tools. My sire didn't believe my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me, just her amusing subject. I'll still try to act, so I'm not just reading. So it's a lot more entertaining. Well, she's deadlier than dead now. Not deadlier. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm still here, standing right where she stood when we first met. You might have wondered how I've learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today happened to be the day some of my what kind of accident is that? Associates were inspecting the coffins. Driving you here from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it is so rare for you to visit New York. 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you're never eager to inform me you're here. Oh, I think this person's my sire. Or, well, it said I was the same generation as their sire, so it's confusing. I understand you still have the meeting on 53rd Street later tonight, so I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much, don't get me wrong. But it is precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay the favor you owe me. You're the only one I trust to do this job well, and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy, asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. But this is New York, and I don't know about other cities, but in this one, fate really exists. And right now, it's smiling in your favor. This is how it begins. I want to explore what these buttons are. Let's do this. Oh, it's a log. This one. Dictionary. This is how it begins. What if I... Oh, okay. Should I have gotten a censor for this just in case? It's fine, it's art. The music is pounding, and your pulse is keeping pace. This is one of those nights that make you feel alive, even though it started with you feeling dead. First came the messy breakup, Then the realization you have nobody to talk about it. First came the messy breakup. Then the realization you have nobody to talk to about how much it sucked. Still, you decided to roll with the punches. One Facebook search for local events later, and you found just the thing for your Melisses? A short subway. Oh, this one has scrolling. A short subway ride, and you find yourself at the club, just inside Dumbo. Not a fancy one, mind you. More like a slightly refurbished warehouse, but hey, at least the drinks are cheap. The DJ seems to know his shit too, alternating between cutting-edge industrial techno and classic Detroit crowd pleasers, expertly feeling out everyone's mood. An hour passes, then two. Usually, you'd feel awkward coming to a place like this alone, but tonight, you find something soothing in joining the crowd, blending in, even as you allow the beat to take over. Sweat, yours, other people's, soaks together through your shirt and pants in a matter of minutes. A thought pops into your head. From the outside, the fully packed club must seem like a stuffy, smelly nightmare. But here in the thick of it, it becomes exhilarating. Wow. I can't read. Even though I had like an 80 in my English score back in high school, but high school was a long time ago. And you're not even on a pill tonight. Latina. There's this Latina chick whose curves are situated by the light dress clinging to her body, and she keeps bumping into you. Something tells you it only seems incidental. Yeah, it's a good night. You wish it could last forever, because you know it all too well what the next day holds. Oh, I'm still human. Waking up, getting dressed for work, the commute, the 9 to 5 grind that will make you just enough money to pay the rent and keep living in your overpriced shithole of an apartment. And with Jessica moving out, it'll all be coming out of your pocket. You run some quick calculations in your head and immediately come to regret that you did. I mean, won't it be cheaper? Well, yes, I'm guessing it's a yes and no, because the rent will still keep its price. There were 2 earners back then. But now you're just spending on yourself. Like, there'll be less showers, less people to use electricity, you know? Anyways. Never mind. You spot Latina again. She is now next to another guy, hitting it off. Your chance of not going to bed alone, gone. Just like that. Fuck. Your mood temporarily shut down. You leave the dance floor and stumble your way to the filthy bathroom. You take a look in the mirror and start to wash your face. Obsessively. Over and over again. A voice from the past echoes in your mind. Jessica. Should I try? Yeah, like I said, I'll try to voice act without changing my voice. I never felt like this with anyone. Seriously, I mean it. I feel like all of my relationships up to this point were test runs. A shitty way to compensate for my low self-esteem. But this feels right. Finally. Shut up, Jess. This was the craziest fucking day of my life. God, I need a smoke. Pass me a light. What do you mean cops took the lighter? There's one in your mouth. Just shut the hell up. This is not you. Not anymore. Oh, fuck off. This is so like you, acting like some sort of Clint Eastwood wannabe when I really, really need you to open up. Yeah. You think you're impressing people with this tough guy act? Fuck you. I know how broken you really are. You need therapy. Oh wow. Yeah, now that sounds like the Jessica of today. You raise your head and look in the mirror. You try to smile, but all you can muster is a self-pitying grin. And there she is, the Latina from before. She says you look like you need a drink. You hesitate for a second or two, and then blurt out a surprisingly enthusiastic yeah. You start to talk. It quickly becomes evident that she's into politics, and you are eager to please. Okay, Jess may have had a point with the protagonist. Like, she just wants to try and impress people instead of, you know, just being yourself, I guess. You might be a corporate dome, but you spend a lot of evenings reading theory. Actual theory, not bastardization. Wait. Not bastardized Twitter cliff notes, and organizing for all matters of causes online. Wait. And organizing for all matters of causes online. The status quo sucks. There must be something better, he agrees. You seem to subscribe to the same progressive political theories, have compatible ideas about the DSA's misnotes, even watch the same YouTube channels. Your goals are aligned. She's a bit more radical than you'd have guessed. You attend a few rallies, been to a few protests, but this girl sounds like she broke her share of faces and kicked more than a couple of cops in the nuts over the course of her activist career. Her zeal is infectious. She taps into pent-up anger that you didn't know you had. The noisy club stops working for you both, so you hit the streets. Just as you're leaving, the DJ starts playing All the Things She Said by TATU, of course. You chuckle to yourself, trying not to slip into a bad headspace. She chuckles along with you. The art in this game is like really good. Like really good. It's like something out of a book. It's chilly outside, but soon enough you find yourself too invested in listening to the girl's voice to care about anything else. You realize you've been holding hands for a while. Oh no. This is a age-neutral channel unless I'm playing Cyberpunk and Nekopara, but holding hands takes it too far. I'm sorry. I should have got a sensor. The subway car is empty, save for the stoic middle-aged couple and a drunk staring intently at his own feet. Plenty of room to stretch out, and yet she sits right next to you. No doubt she's a vampire. You could feel her thigh pressing into yours, her breath on the side of your neck. Maybe it's the booze talking, but you distinctly hear your voice asking if she'd like to crash at your place. I've got a better idea, she says. At this point, you're down for anything as long as it lets you spend just a few more minutes with her. Who's that guy? She takes you to a slazzy motel in the Bronx, trading a few words with the balding, tired-looking guy at the front desk. He hands her a key. Still holding your hand, the woman leads you up the stairs. It's the typical vampire stuff, like she's leading you on, then chomp. The room you end up in is almost comically stereotypical, complete with flaking paint and sticky floor. Not that it matters though. The moment you step through the door, she's on you. Oh no. I mean, I don't think they have CGs in this, because this isn't a Japanese visual novel. This is just a visual novel, I guess. I think this was made by a Polish developer, along with its standalone sequel. It tried to take the lead, but she's having none of it. Before you know it, you feel the rickety bed press against your back. It's sloppy, fun, fierce, and not once does she lose the initiative. Yep, there we go, she's a vampire. Her hands reach under her t-shirt. Strange. It didn't look like she was cold outside, but now her feels eerily cold. But now her skin feels eerily cold. How did I get ear from skin? As if sensing your confusion, she slaps your hand off of her. She kisses your neck. You are overwhelmed by this sensation. Darkness. The taste of liquid fire and smoke on your tongue. Should I? Like I said, voice acting. Her voice saying, "Sorry, kid. Sorry, kid. I did what I had to do to leave the city in one piece. But don't worry. With your blood and your principles, you're gonna do just fine." She slams the motel room door behind her as she leaves. You lie helpless on the soiled, pungent mattress for some time, minutes, hours, before you can focus enough to try and piece together your evening. It hits you, the big hunger. It grips you by the throat and makes your inside shrivel in terror. It's an all-encompassing emptiness that throws you on all fours. You crawl for a while, squirm on the floor in shuddering pain, then jump to your feet and burst out the door. You black out. We never really got a look at how it felt to be embraced in Bloodlines, but with a text-based game, I guess it makes sense how we're getting more detail. This isn't the room you saw when you last closed your eyes. Somebody curses at you. A small, naked, buff dude holding a short leather whip. Wow, what a goofy motherfucker. This should be one of the... I think this stream will be one of the mature streams. He throws a punch. He yells out several slurs. Hits you in the jaw. You black out again. The guy isn't moving anymore. There's blood on his neck. There's blood on his arms. There's blood on the floor. There's blood everywhere. Wow, whoever did this is one sick puppy. You realize you're sitting on top of his corpse. Oh, we fed on him. Hello, how are you? Welcome to a visual novel, being read by someone who can't read. You hear a whimper. Someone else is there. A woman. I guess we saved her. Her arms are tied to the bed frame. Oh, there are CGs. Her arms are tied to the bed frame, an eye mask over her face, red marks on her back. Okay, no, they were doing. No, the guy, the naked buff guy and that woman were doing something like mature, and me becoming a newborn, technically a newborn vampire, so that as the opportunity to feed. This time, you see it happen. You want to stop, but can't. She almost manages to get a scream out, but it dies in her throat as you bite into the side of her neck. You drink. Blood. You're drinking blood. You could swear you feel her life force escaping her body, entering yours. Suddenly terrified, you tear away from her. She's not moving, but she's breathing. There's a mark on her neck. The guy on the floor, though. Okay, we only passed her out, but he's dead. You double over in a spasm, realizing what you did. You feel like throwing up, but can only gag. Panic sets in as another realization dawns on you. Your heart is not beating. You put 2 fingers on your wrist, but feel no pulse. Same thing on the neck, nothing. There's no... Oh. I got an achievement. Rebel yell. There's no breath coming out of your mouth. You have to get out. Get someone to call an ambulance, for yourself at least. Probably too late for the dude on the floor. Did you really kill him? Stranger. What a mess. You look up, and the door to the room is ajar. A tall, handsome, broad-shouldered man fills the frame. He brushes an imaginary speck of dust off his perfectly tailored suit. It's not what it looks like. Hey man, this isn't what it looks like. So, out of the characters, only two of them were male and one was female. The female was Ventru. But I chose the Bruja because I'm a Bruja in my Bloodlines playthrough, so represent, I guess. And in Shadows of New York, there's only one clan, and it's the La Sombra. That's good to hear, because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're in a world of trouble. Sorry, I can't do masculine voices. I can only do like an uwu voice and an ara and valley girl voice. Even when I try to speak in a stereotypical Aussie accent, apparently it still sounds kind of feminine. Not saying I'm female, I'm unknown gender, so just saying that the characters are some characters are gonna sound, you know, out of character. He surveys the room, not moving an inch from where he's standing. He shakes his head in mock concern. Murder? Assault? That's 25 to life, if you're lucky. But since you're not, it's a death sentence. He takes a glance at his expensive-looking watch. Lucky for you, it's been a slow night. Otherwise, I might not have gotten here in time. Come on, the sun comes up in a few hours. You don't want to be around here when it does. The sun? What's it matter when the sun comes up? So you don't even know. You should be glad I got here before you made yourself scarce. The man approaches you and starts talking. His tone remains unnaturally calm. Oddly enough, you find it both soothing and slightly unnerving. Maybe I'll do my Ada voice just to give off that feeling of calm and soothing. Now, now listen. Now listen to me. I know this is all new to you, but I've dealt with hundreds of strays like you. And going by experience, they tend to fall into two categories. First, there are the smart ones, who carefully obey every word and don't try to pull off anything stupid. I always get them where they need to be, safe and sound. And then there are the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on. The wise guys who tried to contact somebody, secretly and without permission. The troublemakers who tried to run off or make a scene. Huh. How come the New York vampires don't seem as strict as the LA vampires? Then again, that game takes place in 2004, and seeing how this game was released in 2020, like late 2020, I think this is closer to modern times. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, most of them never reached their destination at all. His voice becomes slightly bored and monotone. You can tell he's given this speech before, likely dozens of times. You see, when I generally consider myself pretty smart, I'm also a Mets fan. It's my one true weakness. I feel like this is an inside New York joke. One that inspired me to come up with three-strike system. With a three-strike system when dealing with pups like you. I'm not really using my auto voice, I'm just using the tone I use when I auto. If you get on my nerve once or twice, well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful situations. But cross me 3 times, and you're out. No excuses, no forgiveness, no mercy. He's talking. As he's talking, he slowly approaches you, adding a bit of a theatrical swagger to his walk. Eventually, he leans in, deliberately invading your personal space. You realize it's a test. He's daring you to do something about it. 3 strikes, and you're out. Say, I understand, sir. Now. You've never been too eager to bend the knee to anyone, but this is something else. The man's very presence instills a primal fear in your heart. I'll just give in. I understand, sir. Glad we have an understanding. Moving on. Is there anyone you'd want to inform of your current situation? Tell them you're alright? He flashes his fangs briefly, and for some reason, the sight sends a chill down your spine. There's something very wrong with him. Someone closest to you? Jessica, my ex-girlfriend. She kinda hates my guts, but yeah, I suppose it would be her. The stranger gives you a puzzled look and decides to probe further. The closest person in your life hates your guts. This time, something resembling a look of pity. He turns his eyes to the corpse on the floor. When it rains, it pours, I suppose. Well, if you'd like to ruin her day and let her know you're alright, give me her phone number. I'll have someone take care of it. Discreetly, of course. You hand him your smartphone, so he can copy the number from your list of contacts. Thank you. This will be useful in illustrating my next point. Instead of giving you back your phone, the man hides it in his pocket. Yeah, I was told this by Hiba. Mostly the Camarilla, like, the main old-fashioned organization of vampires, they have a very strict rule when it comes to the internet, to the point that you can't use the internet. He did tell me that at one point they did have their own version of the internet, but apparently it got hacked. But, like, other vampire organizations like the Anarchs and the Sabbat, they don't care. So yeah. From this point on, you're subject to different laws than the ones you grew up under, and you'll be watched by many eyes to ensure the laws are respected. While even though the Anarchs are more newer, and that grammar doesn't make sense. Even though the Anarchs are newer and they do allow you to use the internet, they still uphold to the Masquerade. From what I heard, like, you still have to make sure you don't get found out to be a vampire. The Camarilla takes it really seriously, and from what I heard, the Sabbat doesn't care about Masquerade at all. You are forbidden from letting anyone know you're still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes looking for you, it's over for both you and them. He interrupts his monotone recitation and stares deep into your eyes. So unless you want your girlfriend to end up at the bottom of the Hudson, I'd suggest you cooperate. He proudly displays his fangs again. You've put Jess in danger, goddammit. I can only hope that you care for her enough not to do anything selfish. His words are meant to imply otherwise, but by now, it's obvious he hates your guts as much as you hate his. He's itching for a fight, and you're almost willing to oblige. Alright, I think that's enough lecturing for today. We're on a bit of a schedule here. Now, I don't need to hurt you, but I can do so in the blink of an eye. Just so that we're clear, I have the authority to end you right here, right now. This is not an ideal threat, so are you going to play along, or do I have to do it the hard way? I think I should just follow him. I'm not gonna punch him. I'm not gonna call for help because that's... You weigh your chances. It doesn't look promising. The guy's fit, determined, and looks like he means business. Wait, the guy's fit, determined, and looks like he means business. You, on the other hand, are confused, exhausted, and on the verge of a panic attack. Yeah, fine. I'll go with you. He looks almost disappointed. A wise decision. Oh, I should have punched him. Follow me, please, and close the door behind you. You take one final look at the woman, who's just coming to, at the body on the ground. This is fucked. Absolutely fucked. You pull the handle and close the door. The man leads you downstairs. You contemplated signaling the bald guy at the front desk, but he's too busy watching some 90s action flick on a small ancient-looking TV. He seems totally oblivious to your presence. You hear a dejected John Clare Van Dyne say, Dame? Say, I just want to go home, as you're walking by. Your would-be kidnapper stops by the door and addresses you before opening it. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking as soon as he opens the door, I'm making a run for it. Maybe I could outrun him. I'll save you the trouble. You can't. I'm gonna try anyways. You can either get inside my car, and I'll get you to where you need to be. Or, you can try something stupid that you'll regret later. Do I make myself clear? Why don't you turn it? Why don't you just turn me in? Because no one would benefit from that. And besides, I have my orders. He opens the door and gestures to a black Cadillac Escalade parked right outside the building. After you. I'm gonna make a save. Because I low-key want to, Oh, that was save and exit. Your instincts tell you to run, and you listen. But just a few seconds later, the same instinct is telling you something else, that someone's behind you. For a split second, it all becomes a blur. Knocked down, you fall into a filth-encrusted pavement. As you're trying to get up, letting out a string of bloody spittle, you hear a disappointed sigh. You were doing so well. This counts as a strike, of course. Shall we go now? Oh, I can't reload a save. Oh. Unless, that looks like it doesn't matter. Following the stranger's instructions, you make your way to the car and get in the back seat. The door locks behind you. Inside the Cadillac is almost entirely dark. The side windows seem light-proof. The man gets in the driver's seat, starts the engine, and drives away without another word. Who are you? Who the hell are you anyway? I'm the ferryman, here to take you to the other side. He weighs his next words carefully. You'll have to forgive me. I'm not in the mood to wax poetic. Wait, what? About the state you're in or my role in tonight's events, just remember, if you want to survive the next 24 hours, you'll have to play along. I don't intend to lose my other 2 strikes. This is some shady. Man, this is bullshit. Why does everything have to be a fucking riddle? Well, riddle me this. Who's gonna get their teeth smashed into their brain if he doesn't shut up? Understand that this is for your own good. Times being what they are, you should consider yourself lucky. You drive in silence for about 20 more minutes, as exhaustion catches up with you. The street lights fade into a blur. Eventually, the car stops, and the doors open. You emerge from your dreamlike state, and find yourself in some kind of underground parking garage. You two are the only ones here. The man points to a nearby door. Go on in. Make yourself comfortable. If you get hungry again, take a look in the fridge. I'll pick you up tomorrow, and you'll get your answers. seems like this is it seems like this is procedure. Like, once you become a vampire, they bring you to a hotel room and then something. Behind the door is a small room, no windows, just a simple bed, and a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. A small fridge is humming away in the corner, accompanied by rattling AC fan in the wall. Guess I have to trust you. I guess I have no choice but to trust you. It took you this long to figure out? Remember when I said you were lucky? I meant it. See, my job is to get rid of problems, but I'm not always this polite. I'm not always about this. But I'm not always this polite about it. This time, I was specifically told to mind my manners. So believe me when I tell you, considering how this night could have turned out, being stuck in here for a night is a really good deal. So get in or I'll throw you in. I'll just walk inside. Huh. There's just one shoe there. You step inside. The stranger nods. Good night. He closes the door behind you. It looks sturdy, but as he's locking it, you notice claw marks all over. Looks like some previous guests weren't satisfied with their stay. You decide not to dwell on it, and check the fridge. There's a single bag there, filled with red liquid, no label. Tomato soup? You feel sick to your stomach. Best to leave it for now. You lie down on the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame. You can't help but think it looks exactly like the one back at the hotel with the bound woman. Alright, you killed a man tonight. Or did you? Maybe none of this is real. Maybe it's all an elaborate prank. The girl at the club just might have put her up on it. A tall guy who's clearly in on it too. Now he's back with him, and they're all laughing their asses off. You don't know what to think anymore. Your mind races, but you're too tired to keep it going. Finally, you tense up one last time before drifting away into oblivion. You wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't feel quite like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on. The AC is still rattling. The refrigerator still humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone, and you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead? Does it qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You open the fridge. The bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it is soup, then its color and texture are off. You pull the cork out, take a whiff. You recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bag blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you find it nauseating. But now it's almost, no, not almost, it is enticing. smell is faint, and you remember. Wait, I'll drink it. It feels wrong, but right now, there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. Wait. It feels wrong, but right now, there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. It tastes bland. Reminds you of cheap supermarket juice. Just enough flavor to register as what it claims to be in the box. But nothing like the real thing. Nothing like the last time. Nothing like what you had the last time. You swallow it. Somehow you don't feel sick. In a weird, messed up way. You can't help but think it feels nourishing. You take a few more sips, and then just another, sucking on the bag a little more. Suck on the bag a little more. Eventually, you find that you've emptied the entire bag. Wait. Eventually, you find that you've emptied it entirely. You look into the info pressed into the side of the bag. 450 mils of it. Even with its blandness, you still feel like having more. You realize your body longs for the intoxicating high you felt when an image of that corpse crosses your mind, causing you to wince. What have you become? You try to piece your thoughts together, making sense of it all, when you hear the lock click and see the door open. Standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again, that predatory look like a hawk on a hunt, but somehow more relaxed tonight, so like a tame hawk maybe. Good evening. Slept well? He notices the discarded empty bag. I see you had a bit of a snack. Yeah, you got any more? I did. Got any more? No, and I don't expect sustenance to be this easy to find the next time. And don't expect sustenance to be easy to find the next time. Come on, we've got places to be. The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside. The door of the cramped room you spent the day in. Wait, that's one sentence. Man, I'm tired. The door is humming in the empty parking lot just outside the door of the cramped room you spent the day in. The man motions to it, politely, but with a stern look on his face. Get inside the car. I'm trusting you here, man. I'm touched. Sincerely. You take the back seat again. The door's locked. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to catch a glimpse of familiar streets or landmarks through the blacked window, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so all you can hear is a bit of traffic humming and the car's engines. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked alright. The piece of glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. They're repeating this. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You try to extract some information out of the man behind the wheel, but you realize you'd prefer to bask in the afterglow of your lost meal. You wouldn't have expected it, but you spend the rest of the trip lost in thought. A lot of them concern blood. It takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're in New York. That much is certain. Queens, maybe. After me. No sudden movements, please. You approach a nice-looking building that houses a 2-story gallery called the Art Hall. 2 large men in suits flank the door on both sides, and they give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guest's attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see contempt in a few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. The last time you felt like this was at your previous job interview. It was like being a piece of livestock, inspected from all sides, from any imperfections, so your wage could be haggled down. It was dehumanizing and made you feel dirty. I'm starting to get hungry too, but I have a bag of chips, so I'm not gonna eat now. I'll eat after stream, so. When they called you the next day to offer you the job, you declined. Even when you're a nobody, you become even less if you trade away your dignity for a paycheck. The memory makes you feel warmer inside even now, although the state of your bank account never did. Good evening, Corden, and to you, child. The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers. You, being brought here against your will. For what purpose? Cold voice. Let's see if I can voice act a cold voice. The room awaits your response. Good evening, miss. Good evening, miss. You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helen Panhard, child of Michaela. Thank you, my sheriff, but I am capable of introducing myself. Oh, she's the prince. I may be biased, but I already like her more than LaCroix. I don't trust LaCroix at all. She is somewhat plain looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people. That much is clear. But this game was made in 2020, so this should be like the 5th edition. So isn't the Bruja supposed to be Anarch? You may address me as Prince, child. I realized your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. Oh, it's just like bloodlines. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. Remain silent. You decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. It feels like you're out of your depth here. That's what I would do in real life. Shall we begin? You are to be judged by the court of New York City. Quindon, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society? Make-believe? A trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. The hunger made him savage a prostitute and his client in a Bronx brothel. Sorry. The hunger made him savage a prostitute and his client in a Bronx brothel belonging to one of the ministry? I have already spoken to Sansquake? I don't know how to say that about this, and made sure it'll blow over. Regarding the fledgling himself, surprisingly enough, he offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force his compliance. I mean, I did run away, but we had a quick chat. But wishing to appear here post haste, I urged him to join me, which he did without struggle. Again, a pleasant departure from my usual routine. His thirst partially slaked with the bag blood we kept in the safe house. We had a pleasant enough drive here. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman. Oh, I read ahead. She's the lady at the title screen, I'm guessing. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Thank you, Quindon. I changed how to pronounce his names at least 3 times in the stream. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there's the matter of your sire, the person who brought you where Quinton picked you up from last night. Who were they? I'm just gonna ask questions like, sire? Let me ask you this first. Why do you keep using that word, sire? What does it mean? Under regular circumstances, they would be your patron and the one responsible for your introduction into our society. Things being what they are, however, I would very much like to know who they are. Indulge me. You find it impossible to decline her final request. Something in her voice makes you want to please her, and you hear yourself speak. A Latina woman, very radical, unless she convincingly lied to me. She was special, extraordinary. She had fire, conviction, temper. She seduced me, easily in fact, make me think she wanted me. I fell for it, and now I'm here. You stop yourself from saying more, then realize that there's really not much more to talk about. A nagging thought enters your mind. How did this prince persuade you with such ease? She probably used the discipline. Probably presence? Or dominate. We'll see. Well, Quinder, does this sound familiar? No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here. The receptionist spoke to her. The receptionist she spoke to may know her. The chick, she rented out at the motel. Talk to the receptionist. He might know something about her. Unlikely, but regardless, thank you for the observation. I will investigate this later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst without thine elder's leave, both thou and thine progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Quinder. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. Oh, he likes us! The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this Quirder what all the talk of traditions and councils was. Wait. You're about to ask this Quirder what all this talk of traditions and councils was. Isn't it supposed to be were? When the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie? Sheriff? I was wondering if I could get a word with the fledgling. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Quinder. We all know the verdict. What the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stay in your hands tonight after all. Her words grab his attention. His voice is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for for domination. Domination, yeah. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for the domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolved. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room, the way you came, and you are left in the courtroom. Why did I say courtroom? Left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, fledgling, you're in quite the pickle. What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't understand what my crime is here. Poor thing. This really isn't your fault, but if you want to get out of here in one piece, you need to understand one crucial fact that seems to elude your grasp. elude your grasp. Last night, you became a vampire. Wait, what? Oh yes, I am aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred. Being embraced. Having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires? You're looking at them. They're us. You glance around. Some of the guests are occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in harsh tones. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness, and not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night. There's no denying it, and your breathing has not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying what the fuck on repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Quentin deliberately keeps you in the dark. In the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down, as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and your deference to Quentin will work in your favor. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I'm not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. What happens if I agree? Suppose I say yes. What happens then? You survive, hopefully. Or not, depending on the prince's whim. I'm giving you a chance here, not a guarantee. But if you take me as your patron, I will be your guide in this new reality. And you will assist me like a child would a sire. I'm getting adopted! Steps and haste voices can be heard from the side of the room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Coteries appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Coteries, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard, fastened with a coffer sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Coteries takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes the center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gathered here tonight. I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. She briefly addresses you. I want you to know that this was not an easy decision to make. For your part, you have done You have not done anything to earn our ire. I do feel a genuine sorrow for what must be done. We are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. There is no place for tolerating this dissent when our very existence is under constant threat. Although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent options on this. She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room. A rather plainly looking... Wait. She looks at a... She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before. A rather plainly dressed, shy-looking man, whose skin was somewhat healthier toned. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate. I declare that while the embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence, it is their progeny that must be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. With here? At least this person had a council. Like, at least she didn't decide, oh yeah, you're gonna die, it's a council. But LaCroix just acted on a whim. At least this person has someone to consult with. You hear a scraping noise, and see the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It is beautifully detailed, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. Two outs, bottom of the ninth. His quiet mumble is audible, but to nobody but you, as his eyes meet yours. You note his hint of sadness in his countenance. Countenance. One that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. And he's out to bat. You will not get another chance to speak up. As for mercy, you make your choice. I'm not going down like this, damn it. Spare me. Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer. Coterie looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. At first the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The board elites suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Cotier's heavy hand on his shoulders make it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain. Am I to understand you are volunteering to take this sireless child under your protection? Yes, I happen to think they might hold a potential that would be unfortunate to waste. I do expect their full cooperation of the course. Of course. Where did I put the from? Whispers can be heard again. An incredulous voice or two. A hush. Just behead the fucker. Some suppressed exclamations of surprise. Silence. I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thine progeny shall be released, thou shalt commit them in all things. Wait, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you. Remain silent. It's clear tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing your death, or second death, apparently, and keeping silent. You decide it's the best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyes-wide shut crowd. The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose. Oh, she's a Toreador. Will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley will take full responsibility of them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla. Substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, child? Jaws, Prince. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Jaws. I'm gonna read every diary entry. The Camarilla, the major sect of vampires devoted primarily to maintaining the Masquerade through influence and manipulation of mortal society. Now that this evening proved to be even more eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can concur. Fledgling, a newly created vampire, still under their sire's protection. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Coterie, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties. Of course, Prince. Prince, a vampire who has claimed a given expanse of domains as their own, generally a city, and supports the claim against all others. The term can refer to a kindred of either sex. He shoots a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched, you will be judged, and if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Jaws, I think we both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to a fruitful partnership. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed can conjures. I keep forgetting how to say that word. Have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a carafue of red liquid. Carefree. He pours it into two tall glasses. It's blood again. That much is clear. You're in two minds about drinking it, but the memory of last night's hunger makes you wince. You take a tentative sip. The hunger, the urge to feed. For vampires, the hunger replaces all other drives with its own powerful call. Oh, it's already been almost an hour and a half. You expect the same blandness you tasted a few hours ago, but this one you can actually savor. It's smoky and warm. Makes you think of a cozy cabin in the woods. It does strike you as a strange image from your mind to jump when drinking human blood, but it is what it is. You've never tasted anything like it. You like it? I think NYC caters have a very Bushmansy idea. Wait, have very Bushmansy ideas about the good blood, what good blood should taste like. Apologies. You must have so many questions. While we're on the topic, perhaps we should start with those related to substance. Where do you get the blood? Where do you get blood? It's kind of weird that you have waiters serving blood. Where do you get it from? That can be a bit of a touchy topic. Let's just say most of the blood available at events like this is crowdfunded. Did I get it? Did I get that right? It's hard to keep track of modern language. I find it relatable. Like, I only recently learned Gyat. And I learned cringe like, I don't know, 3 years ago. At any rate, what I mean is that there is a plethora of vessels on tap. As for where to get blood, when you're not at Elysium tomorrow, I shall take you hunting and we will explore this topic further. Vessel, a source of blood for sustenance or pleasure, primarily mortal. What you need to know right now is that no matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more, unless you consume someone wholly to the last drop, but even that doesn't last. So it's like me and chocolate. Best start by just taking a sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot fresh blood is most saturating than most anything that can be served in a fancy glass. But it can make you more recurrous. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you're a fragile, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky, and it will tempt the beast. That is part of our curse. The beast. The incarnate drives and urges that threatens to turn a vampire into a mindless, ravening monster. What do you mean, hunting? Did you say hunting? As in rifles, hounds, and funny hats hunting? Nothing of the sort. Don't be silly. We are predators, but we are civilized. And most importantly, there is a masquerade to consider. I will get back to that. The masquerade. The habit or tradition hunt of hiding the existence of vampires from humanity. Designed to protect vampires from destruction at the hands of mankind. The masquerade was adopted after the medieval Inquisition claimed many kindred unlives. The hunt may take many forms. There are those of us who seduce kin, up to and including the motions of intercourse, if you feel like it. Others prefer to feed under the guise of a mugging or assault. King. A term for mortals, largely contemptuous, though the phrase kindred and kin refers to the world at large, everything. Some have herds of retainers for the purpose of feeding. Drinking from sleepers in their homes is not uncommon. Blood banks are an option to the few that can tolerate it, though they are frowned upon. Retainer. A human who serves a vampiric master. Kindred rarely go without at least a few of these mortals, both for convenience and protection. So, like ghouls? Ghouls, retainers. You will need to identify these opportunities and decide for yourself whether to pursue them. But make no mistake, you will have to hunt to survive. I think it's Congregate. Congregate returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile, and leans in to whisper in her ear. You note the gallery is now almost empty. I'm being told the gallery is just about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. Michelope is waiting downstairs. Come. The smile she puts on makes you remember the way you felt with the Latina. It's not arousing though, more like magnetic. You find it hard to argue. Even though you're still suspicious of her authority over you, her charm momentarily wins you over. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately. Where did we leave off? I believe I started telling you a bit more about our costumes. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the masquerade. Traditions. The 6 traditions form core framework for governance among the kindred. The first tradition, the masquerade. Thou shalt not reveal thy true nature. The second tradition, the domain. Thy domain is thine own concern. All others owe thee respect while in it. The third tradition, a progeny. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. The fourth edition, the accounting. Those thou create are thine own children. Their sins are thine to endure. The fifth tradition, hospitality. Honor honor one another's domain. Without the word of acceptance, thou art nothing. The sixth tradition. Destruction. Thou art forbidden to destroy another of thine kind. The right to destroy belongs to thine only thine. The right of destruction belongeth only to thine elder. As you might have gathered from us assembling at a niche gallery after closing time, our comings, goings, and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts, so that vast majority of king, we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Say, is that one television show about a vampire angel still popular? You shake your head in confusion. Vampire angel. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a little bit more dejected than before. Our clandestine ways help us remain safe. Allow us to explain away the occasional trip up to the rational minds of the 21st century humanity, and dictate much of our interactions with mortals. So if it's such a secret, I'm guessing your driver is a vampire too? Oh, dear Gregory here? No, not a vampire, although he is a loyal servant, and as such trusted to not spill our secrets left and right. You will realize with time that such help is welcome. Gregory watches over me during the day hours. Sunburns are kind. That's why we take our rest when it rises. It's more akin to being dead than asleep, as I'm sure you've already experienced. But not everything you've heard about vampires is true. Some more folk-related threats are just legends, or occasionally a minor nuisance. Garlic, running water. Even religious symbols don't repel us, unless the wielder is uniquely pure. Unless the wielder is uniquely pure and godly. Stakes through the heart, though, that's something to avoid. They do not destroy, but they do paralyze us. So in order to use holy items, you must be holy yourself. Got it. Well, that's just another reason to have somebody like trusty old Gregory making sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantage lies with daylight. It's good to keep human friends. Am I right in thinking that having a human friend or two is necessary then? Or at least useful? In moderation, and best if they don't know your true nature. Also, I would say that subordinates are useful, but friends? I haven't had one of those for many years now. Our little sect supplies social interactions aplenty, but it doesn't really encourage friendships. Alliances of convenience to be broken on a whim, yes, that's more like it. Sect. A group of vampires, arguably united under a common philosophy. The two most widely known sects currently populating the night are the Camarilla and the Anarch movement. long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are very politicized organization by necessity. The loyalty is your sire, to your prince and to the sect. Friends must retain a distant priority at best for us to maintain the masquerade and thrive as the years pass. With age comes authority. With it comes influence and power, if you wish to reach for them. She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all the things you've learned tonight. It still feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entire logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the one you keep returning to is, what is your place in this new reality? What is your place in this new reality should be? The car stops. You're in the city, in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building. Here we are. Would you like to see your lodgings? My own apartment? Neat. I got my own apartment? Neat. That's neat. Consider it the first of many gifts that I'm able to grant in exchange for loyalty. Come upstairs. She leads you through a small hall with a night guard who greets Miss Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to room 209. Inside are all the amenities you could expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. The back room has a comfortable looking bed and a thick steel door with several sturdy looking locks but no windows. Well, how do you like it? It's great. It's great, thank you. I'm glad. Make yourself at home. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set. I'll pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the doors just in case. It sinks a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly becomes a few shades dimmer. You inspect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. No regular food either. Feels strange that Queer could be it feels strange that Queer could be a more thoughtful host than your new sire. Even if only in that respect. You briefly ponder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. Okay, sire. Let's start off with sire. A vampire begetter. The kindred who created them. The sheriff ensures the traditions and the decrees of the prince are obeyed, hunts down violators, and delivers just punishment. In the case of minor violations or known enemies of the Camarilla, the sheriff is usually authorized to act as both judge and jailer/executor. When it comes to great offenses, they will deliver the accused to the court to be judged. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Kojak reruns. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. President of the United States President of the United States got himself out of trouble again. Pundits start yelling over each other about things that seemed a little bit less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversations and worldview-shattering revelations. How many more before you finally realize what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left before, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. No wonder when you'll have the chance to... Wait, no wonder when you'll have the chance for either. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift into a cold sleep last night, you settle in the back room. The bed is comforting, the lack of windows less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. That sounds almost like a jump scare. A few moments later, your consciousness fades and you take the plunge into darkness again. Sinking, 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 sinking. Huh. Oh, this like thing. Tutorial. Hunger is the heart of a vampire's experience. To ignore it is to tempt the beast to take over in its desire to feed. To overindulge in feeding may threaten the masquerade while staining what humanity you have left. In Coteries of New York, having high hunger is indicated by the progressively thicker blood frames around the screen, like you see now. Oh, these. As your hunger grows, so does this indicator. Your hunger may increase when you call upon your vampiric powers, or when you need to mend your wounds after a fight. Oh, even if it's a visual novel, they're still fighting. When your hunger reaches the maximum level, you will receive a warning after you complete a piece of the story. Ignore it at your own peril. Some choices might only become visible if hunger is high enough. Similarly, high hunger may block off some choices, as you will be able to see after pressing continue. Oh. To decrease your hunger, you will need to feed. Whenever you see a feeding opportunity, you can take the risk to hunt and slake your hunger. Oh. You will need to keep the hunger at bay if you are to uphold the masquerade and survive the nights that await you. You open your eyes. The bed isn't warm. The room is filled with artificial light from the ceiling. The solid metal door is closed. Normally, you'd stretch for a bit. On some mornings, you'd probably throw the quilt over yourself and snooze a moment longer. But that was before. The way you woke up now, you are fully conscious. No grogginess, nothing weighing you down. Just a nagging need. In the back of your head. Hunger, not as severe as last time, but unmistakably there. You get up and open the door to the main room. A digital clock on the TV show you a digital clock on the TV shows you the time, 9:04 p.m. You walk over to the blinds and retract them cautiously. The only light coming in is NYC's artificial nighttime luminescence. So that's what your waking hours are going to look like now. You miss the sunlight already. You're seriously considering just walking out of the apartment and figuring this all out by yourself. But then you come back to the memory of Critter's exotic sword being raised in the gallery. Maybe sticking around isn't that bad of an idea after all. You keep jumping channels for around half an hour, and then switching to streaming services. Almost as if the universe had a sense of irony, you catch through blood in the flood of recommendations. The doorbell rings. It's Sophie. Good evening, Jaws. Slept well? Oh, hello, relaxed. How are you? Like a dead man. Curious wording, but not that far from the truth, I suppose. No use dwelling on it. I think you will agree with time. You made the right choice yesterday. I can teach you many things about yourself, your blood, its desires, and its power. We will begin tonight. You are hungry, yes? I'm sure you are. Our kind always is. There is only one remedy, the blood. The drinks we had yesterday at Elysium are not the usual way you slake thirst. Elysium. A place where vampires may gather without fear of harm. Court functions in Elysium. Court functions in Elysium are strictly kept apart from mortals and surrounded by secrecy, but the Elysium building itself could be a public museum, a gallery, or club. Wait. Binane is an anarch Elysium. The Laverne is a Camarilla Elysium. Half tired. Ah! You enjoyed your nap? If you're half tired, are you still tired, dudes? I think relaxed should be like a halfway point, but you could be half tired but not relaxed, like you could still be stressing. So tonight, I will assist you in your first folly into hunting. You need to learn to sense the kind of blood you desire. To understand how you can use the king's vulnerabilities to your advantage. I'm ready to learn. Well, I'm ready to learn. Let's get started. Such eagerness, or is it just your hunger making you impatient? You will find that drinking moderate amounts of it regularly will keep the hunger and the whispers of the beast away. You might think yourself monstrous, but there is a balance to be found here. The kiss gives the kin pleasure. You might remember this from your own embrace. Some can even become addicted to the sensation, but if you do it right, they tend to misremember your feeding. A kiss. Wait. An act of drinking blood, usually from a mortal. The kiss causes feelings of ecstasy in those who receive it. Too much reading. It's a visual novel! But apparently there's combat and, like, hunger gauge. The act of embrace. The act of transforming a mortal into a vampire. The embrace requires the vampire to drain her victim and then replace the victim's blood with a bit of her own. After all, vampires do not exist They are myths, fairy tales, and pop culture mainstays, correct? She gives you a sly, knowing smile. This is why the Masquerade is so important, and even more crucial when you feed. Twilight moment? Well, if you speak to vampire fans, including Vampire the Masquerade, they'll probably like beat you up for comparing Vampire the Masquerade to Twilight, but fun fact, Vampire the Masquerade is one of many games in the World of Darkness, right? They have another game called Werewolf the Apocalypse. It was the World of Darkness that introduced the vampire werewolf rivalry. Then it got carried on to Underworld, and then that got carried on to Twilight. So yeah. How do you cover your tracks? How do I choose from who to feed from? Are there better or worse targets? Isolated keen are easiest prey, of course, but much depends on context. Hunting requires a different approach in a busy club than it does on an empty street. The thing is, it's kind of possible. Like, it's kind of possible to play a Twilight vampire in Vampire the Masquerade because of how the creation system works. Like, yeah, you'll get sunlight weakness, but you could turn the weakness into, you could lessen the weakness. And also, her clan is Toreador, which are the more seductive vampires. There's also the Gangrel vampires who could turn into animals. I'm a Bruja, so I'm more like a brutish vampire. But I'm guessing some people do care about vampires, and it kind of got some traction after the author wrote a gender-bent story of Twilight. With time, you will have the luxury of finding your preference in hunting methods and prey. For now, I suggest experimenting in moderation. This is for game mechanics, I'm guessing. Feeding from the same area repeatedly can be dangerous, but branching out, you risk the ire of other kindred on whose domains you trespass. Luckily for you, NYC is more forgiving in this regard. Kindred, the Camarilla term for vampires as a whole, or a single vampire. According to rumor, this term came about in the 15th or 16th century after the Anarch Revolt. Domain, the area of a particular vampire's influence. Princes claim entire cities as their domain, sometimes allowing lesser vampires to claim domain within it. New York is in somewhat of a unique, it's supposed to be a unique position. Many of its neighbors remain contested or unclaimed. The reason for this is a lesson for another time, but keep the following in mind. Take opportunities to feed when they present themselves. These coming nights. As long as you can hunt cautiously and respect the Masquerade at all times, you should be fine. To wit, I want you to join me for a trip tonight. Come downstairs. Gregory's waiting for us. The busy streets fill the air with traffic noise, pedestrian chatter, and a mix of smells that disorient you momentarily. These warm bodies contain what you want, what you need. You catch yourself. Did you really think of these people as mere sources of blood? I'm reminded of that scene from Tokyo Ghoul where when Kaneki first became a half ghoul, when he was like when he went out and he was in Tokyo, and every time he looked at people, he just thought of them as food. It takes a nudge from Sophie to break your train of thought. Her driver opens the door for her and then tips his hat to you, gesturing to the back of the car. The car casually joins the somewhat thinned New York traffic. It's still busy in a way only one of the biggest cities in the world can be, but compared to the daytime commute, it's a pleasant drive. You barely have the time to gather your thoughts and formulate new questions before the car comes to a stop. You're among the tall for ghouls, yes. You're among the tall skyscrapers that takes up Manhattan's iconic skyline. Come, Jaws. Park the car, Gregory, will you? The driver nods and Sophie gets out. You join her, and the two of you walk through the glass doors together, then take the elevator up. You first notice an empty stage, with the instruments of a string quartet still in the back, and take in the few dozen chairs in front of it. The concert's seemingly concluded, the patrons all smartly dressed and posh. You have spread out all over the hall. Sophie strides confidently inside, produces an invitation from her purse, and she flashes in front of a security guard. You follow close and are let through without issue. I bit my tongue. Let's start easy. A social setting like this one would usually prove quite challenging to an unexperienced kindred. But considering this event a small gift from your patron, I'm hoping to procure for you a willing vessel. Just remember what I told you about taking small sips. This one I have a soft spot for. Don't damage her. Now, let's see here. There he is. She notices somebody in the crowd, flashing a heart-melting smile, and suddenly even you feel drawn to her. You haven't thought about it before. It's laid clear before you in this moment. Sophie is beautiful. Just looking at her is a privilege. Just being with her makes you feel elated. Uh-oh. This stream is like ASMR. If you were here earlier, I kinda used the Ada voice, but not really. Everybody in the crowd, but especially the man who's almost tripping over himself to reach her, completely agrees. Edgar, I'm so happy to see you. How is your daughter? Is she with you? Oh, there she is. Julie, my girl. Come here. Come here, please. There's somebody I'd like you to meet. The young woman who walks across the hall can't be more than 19 years old. It's clear from her mixed-matched earrings and partially faded purple hair dye that she doesn't fit this crowd. Julie, this is Jaws. Why? I think the two of you should get acquainted while I talk business with your dad. Awfully boring stuff, I assure you. I'm positive you'll like each other. The girl gives you a shy smile and nods towards the balcony stairs. You follow, somewhat unsure. What exactly Sophie expects you to do. You reach the secluded space from which the entire lobby is visible. All eyes are on Sophie. They listen intently, then laugh when she does. Julie saves you the trouble of figuring out the next step. If If you're with Sophie, then I guess you're, I mean, that, you, you know. Should I give her the Mikan voice? Nah. She puts her wrist on her lips and gives herself a theatrical nip, then looks to you, embarrassed, but also hopeful? I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, you don't, Yeah, I think I should give her the Ulu voice. She's clearly befuddled and unsure how to continue. She backs out of the topic and instead asks you about your favorite bands. You have the feeling she's waiting for you to do something. As she talks, she takes off her jacket, although the building isn't warm, unbuttons her sleeve and rolls it up. You see a tattoo of a cat in an astronaut suit, one feline eye winking at you. It's subtle, or at least she thinks it is. But the way she caresses her forearm is a dead giveaway. She's testing you. Can it be she wants to be bitten? Drink. You take her forearm in your hands. A quick look around confirms nobody's watching, and no security cameras cover this area. You bite down gently. It's surreal. She's just given you her blood in her own volition. How's this possible? What about the masquerade? You need to ask Sophie. Your thoughts disappear amid the bliss. There's just a taste. Soft, fresh, seducing. You drink. And drink. And drink. No, stop. You tear away from the girl harder than you wanted. Still, the bite leaves just tiny punctures. Almost as if, by instinct, you licked them clean, and the two holes became concealed, just like that. Julie is now leaning on the wall, pale, wobbly on her feet, but happy. She lets out a dreamy sigh, opens her eyes. A few tears fall into her shirt. Tears of joy. Thank you. No, that doesn't match. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the ooh voice. I realize it doesn't match. Thank you. Please, you can what? Please I'll try to use the same vocal techniques, but I'm gonna use my normal voice. Thank you. Please, can you walk me downstairs, please? My dad, he doesn't know. Thinks it's a condition. Miss Laney told him so. She leans on you and requests you walk her over to a bench. She takes a seat and smiles at you. The crowd around Sophie dissipates slowly. Looking at her now, only some residual awe hangs in the air. Yes, she's pretty. Maybe even beautiful. Sure, but not your type. What came over you before? She used the discipline. She used presence. You walk over to her. Edgar, dear. It was splendid talking to you, but we need to get going. Give Julie my best wishes. Come with Jaws. Gregory is waiting for you out front. It's only in the car that Sophie addresses you. I can tell from your look that you took the opportunity. Good for you. That girl's exquisite, don't you think? You won't tell by her demeanor, but she has so much passion. It brings out a unique banquet in her blood. I feel like I took advantage of her. This feels all wrong. I feel like I violated her, like I took advantage of her. Oh please, spare me your dramatics. I'm sure she was happy sharing herself. She's a sheltered girl. Let her have fun from time to time. Time for the next stop. Training wheels off. This time. Training wheels off this time. Gregory, flashing medals, please. When do I get to learn to use my disciplines? The driver takes the car over the Williamsburg Bridge. You settle your thoughts. What did you do? Those people back at the hall, they were all entranced. Even I was under your spell. What was that? She smiles with satisfaction. That old trick? It's the blood doing my bidding. We all have our talents. Some of them come from the legacy we inherited from our sire. Others can be learned with experience. Yeah, presents. I mean, she is from the clan of roses, so she's a Toreador. So I'm guessing she has auspics, which is like mind reading. Presence, what she just used earlier, and Celerity, which is like super speed. I'm Bruja, so I have presence, Celerity, and potence. I can sway people or make them fear me. I see more of the world and in great detail than some kindred. I can will my... Yeah, there, the first one is presence. The second one is auspics, or however you say it. I can will my body to move with unparalleled precision and grace, and more. That one is Celerity. All of these skills make me who I am. They also help me hunt. What are my powers? Okay, so what are my talents? Time will tell. You need to discover them yourself. When we arrive, experiment. Give different things a try. Follow your instinct and intuition. It will guide the blood. Always keep the masquerade in mind, however. It is all fine if you can disappear in plain sight. That was a Gengar ability. Protein? Or command animals, that's animalism with your mind. But save those overt talents for the right place and time. It only takes you half an hour to reach the park at this time of night. Both you and Sophie leave the car, with Gregory left behind to find a parking spot and keep an eye on the car. Sophie seems deep in thought. She takes in the surroundings with a dreamy gaze. The sky is surprisingly clear tonight. The stars are just barely visible in the light-polluted aura of the city. I feel like having a little snack myself. I'll be by that fountain. Go look for somebody to your liking. See what effects you can achieve with your blood. But only pick one victim. Just one. Then come back. Seeing how she seems not altogether here right now, you decide to leave Sophie to her own devices and seek out your prey. From here, it looks like you have a few choices. Just taking a stroll around the park and finding an isolated jogger or someone like them could work, but focusing on one area might work better. The New York State Pavilion might work as a secluded spot. There's a skate park nearby, and worst case scenario, there's bound to be some unfortunate wino around. Or maybe the tennis courts nearby. There's a light coming from there, so somebody might be playing a late night match. They won't be alone, but they might be tired and let their guard down. As these scenarios play in your mind, you realize you're planning how to assault a stranger in the middle of the night. It's a weird way to be, but the now familiar hunger prompts you to act. I'll search for a victim around the park. You start walking. The park's many avenues must hold a good spot or two for a predator like yourself. You pass 2 soccer fields and circle around where the Fountain of the Planets once awed visitors with its spectacle before coming across an opportunity. A woman, a small duffel bag on her arm. Is making her way through the park in a hurry. She doesn't seem to notice you yet. There it is, presence. I'm gonna... Every time I get like a discipline ability, I'll use it. You think back to what Sophie did in the hole. How she managed to focus the attention of the entire gathering on her. That might be a tall order for you, but a single person could be doable. For a moment, you're thinking how an old guy in a hood should appear over the shoulder saying, "Use the force, Jaws." It feels ridiculous. Star Wars. But then, something stirs within you. There's a confidence there, an allure that you might have had before, but one that's increased manifolds in this time. You catch the woman's eye. She flashes an unsure smile, almost in spite of herself, as she passes you by. It's not dominate, so I can't use that. Wait, please. She's tense, gripping her bag loose, but attentive, her eyes locked into yours. The slight smile is there again. Yes? What is it? Almost intuitively, you close the distance between you. She can't look away. She's unprepared for what follows. In a swift move, you grab her and bite down. Her surprise resonates in her blood. Hot, excited, fast-flowing, she tenses up, then reflexes the duffel bag, and then relaxes. The duffel bag hits the ground. Bliss. Footsteps. Let go of her. She drops to the ground, barely conscious. A hooded man is looking at you menacingly looking at you. Hoodlum. What do you think you're doing, barging on my turf like this lick? Like, a derogatory term usually used to address young, unexperienced vampires. Lick? What kind of slur is that? What did you call me? A lick? What's that supposed to mean? Don't be cute with me. I know what you are. Shove the masquerade bullshit up your ass. Better tell me who you're with before my posse shows up and we beat the hell out of you. I'm with Sophie Langley. I came here with Sophie Langley. She's my patron. Doesn't ring a bell. Sounds fancy though. He licks his lips, exposing his fangs and looking at you ferociously. A nervous tick, or an attempt for an attempt at intimidation? I wonder, what would Callahan do if I brought you in, huh? Break your shins, leave you out to be kissed by the sun? Oh, concrete shoes. Maybe. He's old school like that. There it is. I'm gonna regret this. You decide the time for talking is over. You rush him and throw him off balance, landing on the ground. He's fast but weak. The rope takes a bit out of both of you. Suddenly, you hear heavy footsteps closing in, and the thug is snatched from over you. He hits a tree hard, and before he can recover, a sharp piece of wood pierces his chest. It's Gregory, Sophie's driver, who deals the blow. The hoodlum is rendered inert, his eyes remain open, but he does not move and does not protest when Gregory puts him over his shoulder. Miss Laney is waiting for us. Come before your snack wakes up. He points to your victim, who is just coming to, and gives you a somewhat snarky smile, then breaks into a swift walk towards the Spear. How did you get here so fast? How did you get here this fast? I was watching you from afar. Miss Laney asked me to look out for you. She suspected you'd get into trouble. He seems to realize he might have said too much and just keeps walking, somewhat embarrassed. You reach the Unisphere, together with the hoodlum in tow. Two figures are visible near the sculpture, a man and woman, tangled in a passionate embrace. No, not exactly. It's Sophie feeding. But this whole scene is set up to make it look like a pair getting intimate in public. She pulls it off like she's done it 100 times before. It occurs to you that she probably has. The man is unsure on his feet, and she lets go of him and leans him towards a nearby bench. Noticing you, she whispers something into his ear and leaves. She nods to Gregory as you approach. And what do we have here? Did this kindred give you trouble, Jaws? He mentioned a Callahan. Ring any bells? He said something about presenting me to somebody named Callahan. Ever heard of him? She looks shocked for a split second, then recovers her regular countenance. Yes, I have. The hoodlum is Anarch. Yes, I have. This hoodlum is Anarch then. Curious. Corona Park has not been claimed by any kindred the last time I checked. The Anarch movement. A vampire sect that opposes the tyranny of elders and has placed itself outside the secret society of the Camarilla. Let's go to the car. We'll put him in the trunk and present him to Coteries tomorrow night. I'm sure he'll be delighted to make this unbound acquaintance. Gregory carries the staked vampire and dumps him into the car's trunk like a mannequin. It's a strange sight, and you're quite happy you're not in the poor fucker's shoes right now. It's almost surprising that you can get away with just casually throwing a stiff into your car and driving away. But then you remember that Sophie has been doing this for far longer than you have. Still, the nagging thought that anything you did tonight could have been recorded on a CCTV camera or picked up by a rando with a half-decent smartphone and streamed online fills you with dread. Hunting and using your abilities is a dangerous business. It's clear that this whole being a vampire thing has about as many caveats as it has perks. You're taking out of your headspace by Sophie's voice. I'll pick you up tomorrow night. Same as tonight. I have some business to attend to at Elysium, and I expect you to accompany me. Plus, our friend in the back needs to be properly introduced to Coteries and the Prince. I'm sure he'll have some interesting things to say to the court. The court. The social system of a city's kindred, resembling a feudal system of mortals. At the top is the prince. Below them, the members of the Primogen Council. Order in the domain is maintained by a sheriff. The gatherings are organized in secret sanctuaries known as Elysiums. Her voice is cold, cruel, and nothing like the enticing personality she showed at the gallery earlier tonight. Sophie clearly is a woman of many faces. What's going to happen to him? The usual, I imagine. Interrogation by Coteries, probably in the basement of the gallery. A quick trial with the prince, and in attendance if she's there tomorrow night. A swift. Oh wow, unlike the LA vampires, the Anarchs and Camarilla aren't in a working relationship here. A swift execution as the verdict. This all sounds eerily familiar to you, and you can't help but feel a pang of guilt when you think about what awaits this guy tomorrow night. You haven't told me how your hunting went. Getting the hang of it, I hope? It'll take some getting used to. I'll need time to get used to this. It doesn't come naturally. It will with time. You need to think about it less. Hunting is the one scenario in which you'll do well to trust your instincts, in moderation of course. She seems distracted, not all there. Her thoughts drift, and the car remains silent until you reach your apartment. We'll pick you up tomorrow evening. Good night. Just like that, without any further courtesy, Sophie leaves, driven to her apartment by Gregory with a body in the trunk, right in the middle of Manhattan. Did you cross paths with situations like these in the past unknowingly? What other secrets did you pass on the streets without knowing their true nature? Your haven is just as you left it hours ago. Although the sun won't come up for some time, you feel tired. You learned something about yourself today. It'll take some time to process. Haven, a vampire's home or base, where they find sanctuary from the sun. You're not in the mood for television, and a few books on the shelves in the apartments are either in languages you don't speak or sound like a boring read. Nothing left to do but rest. You settle in the back room, lock the door. A moment of hesitation, but then a decision. This time, you turn off the light. You think back to Julie. How many people in the city know about this vampiric society? How many are willing accomplices in sustaining it? And the thug you met in the park. If he's not Camarilla, then what is he? Are there independent vampires? How does that work? Many questions. You begin wondering if there's ever going to be a night when you start crossing them off the list instead of adding to it. You close your eyes. You sink into the now familiar void of nothingness. It greets you with open arms, like an old friend. I still can't explore. You open your eyes. It's pitch dark here. The blackness of a coffin drifting in the abyss. Oh right, the light. You grasp the switch, flip it. The familiar cramped room with a steel door with no windows comes into view. You emerge from the bedroom, fully awake now. Fully awake, just like yesterday. This time, however, Sophie's waiting for you, comfortably seated on the sofa in your living room space, a book in her hand. The Melancholy of Resistance. The title sure on brand. Title sure on brand. Good evening, Jaws. Sorry to have kept you waiting. To be fair, I haven't been here long. I was enjoying reminiscing about the time when I called this my haven. The decor was much different, of course. Come, we have an appointment. I received word Elysium would be called again tonight on account of your unruly friend from Corona Park. It should be a great opportunity for you to mingle. She keeps talking as you walk downstairs and get in the car. Gregory gives you a slight nod and a small smile while opening the door for Sophie. He starts the car when you take your seat in the back. Most of the Phrygian Council is bound to be there, at least those who usually attend. Probably some other important personalities we'd do well to at least learn about. Phrygian Council represents the interests of the local kindred and advises the prince on matters of law and rule. Traditionally, it consists of representatives from each of the most prominent clans or factions in the domain, naturally favoring those. Oh, there are also those who are thing. So the Anarch should be allowed. Naturally favoring those of the Camarilla, though outsiders are allowed to report any issues to a Phrygian, not of their clan. Phrygian are often elders, but despite the term, Phrygian from Latin means the firstborn. There are no rules in place there is no rules in place. This is how it must be. In fact, during the first few decades, more and more councils have seen drastic changes to their structure. Pretty sure there was no Phrygian council in Bloodlines. I need to double check on that. Anyone I should talk to when we arrive? Not especially. My advice would be to try and talk to the prince and perhaps reassure her of your gratefulness for being spared. Maybe speak to Quentin on the same topic if you could get a hold of him. The Phrygian I would advise against. They are rather stuck up, all told, and even if they will talk to you, they might try to secure you for some nefarious purpose. I would appreciate that. Of course, be respectful if anyone approaches you and strike up a conversation. You will no doubt be gossiped about, as will I. Keep a cool head. Some enjoy provoking fledglings into stupid acts. At any rate, you should behave yourself tonight. She really sounds like a parent, but I guess that's the relationship between sire and child. Or in this case, patron and child. At any rate, you should behave yourself. Remember what I told you about reflecting on me as your patron. I have a reputation to uphold in the court. Do not tarnish it. There it is. She might have saved you. She might be protecting you and teaching you, but it's clear what she's really concerned about. Her own interests. You stepped into the art hall with something of a bad memory. The last time you were here, your entire world had been turned upside down and your existence nearly ended. But tonight there is very little outward hostility. Yes, Coteries gives you a look that's definitely intended to remind you of your place. But the prince, also in attendance, seems pleased to see you. Welcome, Sophie. Jaws, did I get that right? Good evening to both of you. I understand there is something else you wish to present to the court tonight. Let me reread that. Welcome, Sophie, Jaws. Did I get that right? Good evening to the both of you. I understand there is somebody else you wish to present to the court tonight? I should slow down on my reading because I tend to make mistakes when I read fast. Yes, Prince. They will be joining us shortly. My assistant is retrieving them presently. This better be worth the prince's time, Langley. The prince gives Quidir a cold glance. Forgive the sheriff's harshness. He's in particular foul mood tonight. Something to do with Joseph's begetter intruding his grasp, I believe. Ouch, that must have hurt his ego. Even if his only reply is a crooked smile. The mention of your sire makes you come back to all the talk of ensuing societal norms and disillusionment with the status quo. You enjoyed back in the club. Look at you now. Behaved. Agreeable. She likely wouldn't be happy with this whole setup. Prince, court, hierarchy, titles, but hey, she's gone. Probably forever. If you ever break out of this, it'll be on your own. A flaring up of whispers in the gallery hall breaks you out of your thoughts. Gregory enters the room, the jumpsuit-clad inert vampire all staked on his shoulder. The show's about to start. Sophie's driver places his charge in the middle of the room and nods respectfully to Quidir. The sheriff approaches the vampire and removes the stake from his chest. The captive's eyes flicker to life, and he starts looking around in disbelief. Like a cornered animal, he backs out on all fours, keeps going in circles until he realizes he's trapped. Peter steps on the man's chest and pins him to the floor. Why, who do we have here? Oh fuck, oh shit. No, come on, don't. Silence. The sheriff takes on an aura of utter dread. He appears as if he's a primal force of nature. That's out to get you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do but shrivel in terror. The beast inside you shrieks, and you could swear it happens in unison with the instincts of some of the other guesses from here tonight. Is he using presents? It's unlike anything you've experienced in his company during your turbulent first night as a vampire. He really did go easy on you, all things considered. It seems like all it takes of the hoodlum's willpower to not crawl into a fetal position and start crying. No, please, don't hurt me, man, don't. You and me are going to have a little talk downstairs, at the prince's discretion. Please, go ahead, my sheriff. You heard the prince. Get up, let's go. He doesn't wait for confirmation. He just grabs the man and drags him, kicking and screaming, out of the room. Conversations start all around you. Some whisper, quite avert. Some quite avert. Sophie looks somewhat bored of the whole affair, her eyes wandering from art piece to art piece, clearly finding nothing to her particular liking. What happens now? So what happens now? It'll be at least some minutes before Quidir gets the information he seeks out of this thug. Why not mingle while we wait for him to break? Excuse me. Sophie leaves your side and goes to a corner of the gallery, where a group of kindred, some seemingly pretty old-fashioned, gathered. A congregate offers you a drink, still warm. It smells nice. Just a sip to start off. A splash over your palate, coating your tongue and the insides of your cheek. Nourishment. You're left to your own devices. You have a quick look around. The prince is currently talking to a dark-skinned woman that you recall seeing here those few nights ago. She has a cold but noble countenance to her. Their conversation seems to be casual. loud shrill laugh turns your attention to the bespectacled man who you saw with Sophie on the night of your judgment. He's making the rounds, chatting up several patrons. You feel somebody's eyes on you. A casually dressed, plain-looking man stands alone near a column, watching you. He turns his gaze away, sheepish, while he realizes you've noticed him. You've noticed. I'll try out the glasses, man. I'm actually curious about him when they mentioned he had healthier skin. The man notices your attention, but it takes a few minutes before he pauses his mingling for long enough to actually approach him. He looks at you, quizzically. Thomas Antorio. Is that your name? I assume you'd like to know. I know you. By name only, of course. Jaws? Embraced just a few nights ago, huh? Well, well, well. How's Undeath treating you? I'm coping. It takes some getting used to for sure. Oh, it sure does. Sure does. Good thing we have an eternity to make up for the best of it, right? He takes a moment to clean his glasses, completely ignoring you until he's done and puts them back on. I'm sorry, got a bit distracted. You know most of us don't need to wear these, right? I can see just fine without them, but it's a statement. The damn things keep getting specks of dust and other shit though. Never stay clean for long. I know that feeling. Sometimes I think they're more trouble than they're worth, wouldn't you say? They look good on you. They look good on you, really. You bet they do. Alright, that was a nice chat, but I have to catch up with a other fellow tonight. Talk to you later. Genie! Hey, Genie! He doesn't give you a chance to say goodbye. He's already off, grabbing 2 glasses off the congregate's tray and heading out to a mustachioed man nearby. He noticed Sophie mingling with other kindred, clearly in her element and not to be disturbed. Coteries hasn't come back yet, so you probably still have. So you can probably still find time for at least one conversation. There's something about this guy. Like, the prince was talking to someone else, so I'll be polite. There's something about this guy. It's not that he's staring at you. Most everybody in this room has, at one point or another. It's how he does it. He seems shy, maybe even afraid. It's hard to find a secluded spot in the gallery tonight, but this guy has an entire corner of the room all to himself. As you approach, he's standing alone with no glass in hand, a worried look on his face. Good evening, mister. Robert Larson. Larson, you can call me Robert. Either's fine. So who are you? You mean like generally a vampire, same as you, though I might not quite look it. Oh, I'm one of Prince Panhard's progeny. I'm here on business, in case the prince requires my insight. Usually it's so she can hear me out before ignoring me. Didn't Sophie tell us to ignore progenies? Not sure if you were paying attention the other night, but when the prince mentioned diverging opinions on other Oh, him! I was wrong. The glasses guy was not worth my time. He was talking to everyone anyways, and I still wanted to be polite to the prince. On whether you should be executed or not. That was me. I was a diverging opinion. Oh, thank you. That's huge, thank you. Even if it didn't change the prince's mind. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Listen, I don't want to be rude, but I appreciate you reaching out. But, word of advice, stay away from me. Many vampires in this sect regard my position as progen. Wait a minute. He looks healthier. He's a vampire. Is he thin blood? Many vampires in this sect regard my position as progen to be some kind of a joke, you know. You talk to me, they'll notice, and they'll hold it against you. You have a quick look behind you and see a few kindred keep shooting you curious glances. One woman in particular, a red-haired, boasting a fanciful hairstyle, watches you disapprovingly. Some of them already do, I imagine. Excuse me. I need to try to get a word with a few Progen members before Quinder returns. Enjoy your night. With that crucial look of a few kindred to keep you company, you start talking about who to pursue next. A loud exchange near the staircase grabs everyone's attention. Coteries is back, and a hoodlum is with him. The sheriff pushes his unfortunate victim inside the room. The vampire that threatened you last night is a mess. That stupid hat is still inexplicably on his head, covering some of his ruined face in welcome shadow. He's barely conscious. His shin is broken. You think something protruding there, making the pant leg bulge. One arm seemed twisted at a strange angle. Very little blood, surprisingly, but clearly a whole lot of hurt. Well, Courier, did our guests cooperate? Tell the prince your name. It's Howard. And who do you run with, Howard? The Midnighters. And Anna Courtier, my prince. Active for some time now, though from what this one told me, the name is about the legacy the group has kept over the years. Here, a small group of kindred united by the need and support. Wait, a small group of kindred united by the need for support and sometimes common interest. I see. Hey Prince, I didn't mean it. I didn't know I did it. A loud crack makes some of the guests' audible gasp as Coutier's slap dislocates the man's jaw. A spray of blood creates something like an abstract art piece on the floor. This one is guilty of threatening a member of the Camarilla and claiming a domain without a prince's approval. That alone would be enough to pass swift judgment, but he is also anarch scum. My prince? There can be only one verdict, final death. Do your duty, Sheriff. When a vampire ceases to exist, crossing the line from undeath into a true death. Huh. I just saw it as a final death. I didn't only understood it as a final death because becoming a vampire is your first death. Unless, of course, somebody like to play. Unless, of course, somebody would like to play at being a good Samaritan, like our dear Miss Laney a few nights ago. The look the princess serves you and Sophie is a cruel jest. Sophie takes it gracefully, smiling and slipping her hand under yours in a strange public display of affection. Nobody says anything. The vampire named Howard jumps to his feet and makes for the window. In a split second, you make your choice. Focusing your blood, you dash forward and grab Howard by the back of his jumpsuit, pulling him away from the back window. You expect some resistance, but you find you don't have to worry about it. I mean, I would have let him go, but he threatened me. So, yeah, it looks like I'm gonna get like negative reputation with the anarchs. But you find you don't have to worry about it. When a swift cut separates Howard's head from his body, you let go, and the headless corpse slumps to the ground. Fear is standing between you and the window, his sword drawn, and an ugly smile on his face. Well, Jaws, your eagerness is laudable, if unnecessary. That Howard fellow couldn't have hoped to escape his fate, not facing Whittier's expertise. However, I have made note of this show of loyalty on both your and your patrons' accounts. I would like to thank Miss Laney for bringing this anarch thug to my and Coteries' attention. I assume all have found the verdict satisfactory. It's a rhetorical question, and everyone here knows it. Then I consider tonight's meeting concluded. Good night to all of you. I still have to use one more discipline, and that is, Potence. She steps out of the room, and you see that many of the guests move to do the same. Sophie seems to be conversating with somebody, a serious-looking man in a trench coat, about what transpired. You probably have the time to strike up a conversation of your own, too. Petir Alysium is still here. Alsame? For one, but clearly getting ready to leave. Both Lurson and Arthurio seem to have stayed around, too. One's still mopping around, and the other chatting with the remaining attendants, as if nothing happened in the meantime. Let me talk to him. The sheriff's mood seems to have improved, so you decided you won't get a better shot at saying your piece. He's just seething his sword as you approach him. He notices you just before his face turns from a melancholic frown back to his regular predatory smirk. You seem to have caught him in a moment of reflection. What is it, Jaws? I wanted to thank you for bringing me here. I wanted to thank you for bringing me here in one piece, for giving me a chance. An emotion creeps onto Coteries' face that you haven't seen the sheriff exhibit yet. Is that gratitude? It's fleeting, only for a moment, gone in a blink of an eye. It was trying to get on my nerves, and you are still far and away from proving that. It was the right thing to do. So don't think a few kind words will let you off the hook. Still, I have to admit, I was surprised as the prince when you jumped at the opportunity to stop that honor from escaping. I was sure Valerie would have beaten you to it. If there's nothing else, I'll be taking my leave. Tell me, do you enjoy this, being a sheriff for Prince Benhard? Enjoyment has nothing to do with this. It's my duty. When Kelbros asked me to fill the shoes of the sheriff and outroot our enemies, I was glad to serve the sect. When Helene became prince and asked that I keep doing this, I agreed because I believe in the Camarilla, and I respect the fact that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Is that Star Trek? That's Star Trek. Hey nerd. As my... Ah! Hello, Hiba. You're literally here for the last 5 minutes. I'm Bruja again. I decide to represent my Bloodlines character. He picks up the sword and turns towards the stairs. If more kindred understood that, my job would be much duller, though. I have a question. Guy, what's his name? I already forgot his name. Larson? He's a thin blood, isn't he? If more kindred understood that, my job would be much duller, though. On that note, I wish you a good night. And watch yourself. You've messed up my batting average, so I'll be sure to keep a close eye on you. With that final threat, he leaves the gallery. I could tell. It's right about when Sophie also ends her conversation and walks over to you. Interesting event, wasn't it? Come, Gregory's waiting downstairs. She seems preoccupied with something, and not in a talkative mood. It's an awkward ride back to the city. This time, you arrive at another building, just 2 streets across from your apartment. She takes you upstairs, through a very nice lobby, and a luxurious-looking hall into her domain. Please, have a seat. I shall be right with you. You take in your surroundings. The apartment is like a gallery, an old-school smoking room. So my guesses were right. The apartment is like a gallery, an old-school smoking room that you've seen in some period piece once, and a niche living room meticulously combined together. Apologies. Old habits die hard. Clearly, some stick with you even after your death. She drags on her cigarette and breathes out. Breathes. How's she doing that? Can you do that? Oh yes, you might not know. It takes some practice, but you can keep smoking if you'd like. Other things too. Experiment. You might surprise yourself. But I did not bring you here to show off. This is where I rest these nights. The door in the back, the bedroom, similar to yours. I have servants and bodyguards in addition, of course. I brought you here because I need you to trust me. When I told you before that I needed your best behavior to uphold my good standing with the court, I meant it. But that's not the whole story. I have your interest in mind too. That's why I've given you your own haven. Why I'm trying to teach you how to navigate this new reality. But you need to trust me, or else this won't work. You can come here when you feel like asking me something. When you're in trouble too. Though I hope that won't happen often. I would ask you to come here when you wake up tomorrow. I'll have something to discuss with you. Why not discuss it right now? Why not talk right now since we're here together? I still need to follow up on a few things before we speak. Patience, fledgling. That silence again. This is definitely something on Sophie's mind tonight. She doesn't seem eager to share it with you just yet. I'm leaving for another visit. Come downstairs with me. We'll give you a lift. A quick trip. A promise that you'll show up tomorrow. And some polite goodbyes later. You open the door to your haven and gather your thoughts. It's exciting in a way, being dragged deeper and deeper into this secret society and its rules. Whatever Sophie has planned for you, it's bound to teach you more about this thing you have become. You sink into your vampiric sleep with just a sliver of hope. It's a welcoming change. And with that, I'll end the stream. So I hope you guys had fun. This is an interesting game. Also, thanks, Hiba. Like, even though I didn't ask for it, I'm actually enjoying myself. And it's interesting how it's not just a visual novel. It's practically like a dating sim, where I'm giving options. And it's giving me a lot more details of the vampiric society that Bloodlines doesn't really show because of the type of game it is. But yeah, tomorrow I'll be playing Horizon Zero Dawn, so look forward to that. So I hope you guys had fun, enjoy the rest of the day, and I hope I see you guys tomorrow.